Two great Cunard ocean liners have reached their final destinations, one in California, the other in Dubai. This is the story of the Queen Mary and the QE2. These queens of the seas have ended up on opposite sides of the world, but both the Queen Mary and the QE2 have found new lives as non-ocean going floating hotels and time machines, taking travellers back to a golden age of luxury and adventure. Created nearly a century ago and now permanently moored in Long Beach, California, what was the most magnificent ocean liner in the world, and in many ways still is. The Queen Mary was created in Clydebank, Scotland, and set sail on her maiden voyage in 1936, enabling 2,000 passengers in 3 classes to see the world. That summer she broke the transatlantic record, reaching New York from Britain in just over 4 days. During World War II, she served as a troop ship, carrying Australian and American soldiers to Europe and earning the name Grey Ghost. After the war, Queen Mary linked the UK and the US for 2 more decades, and she remains a perfectly preserved example of 1930s style. In the cabins, the beds have been replaced, but almost every other detail remains as it was when she started her sailing career, down to some rather primitive air conditioning. Today, the Queen Mary functions partly as a mid-range hotel complete with gym and a museum with a radio room and a ticket desk for onward transportation. By 1958, the jet age had begun, with rival airlines flying between London and New York in just 7 hours. The days of the classic ocean liner were drawing to a close, and for a while it appeared that Queen Mary might be sold for scrap. Fortunately, the city of Long Beach decided to adopt her, and the Queen Mary's final journey on the high seas ended here in Southern California in 1967. Today, the two queens are 7,250 nautical miles apart, but you can connect direct from Los Angeles Airport, just up the road from the Queen Mary at Long Beach, to Dubai, the final resting place of the QE2. While you fly from the Pacific to the Gulf, prepare for some time travel too, into a dazzling futuristic city, and also from the 1930s to the 60s, with another great maritime survivor. Washed up in Dubai, one voyage short of the scrap heap. No, not me, the QE2. She took her final voyage here, the Cunard flagship, in 2008. And since then, well, she spent a decade not being open for business, but now she is very much a visitor attraction and also a hotel, somewhere different from your average Dubai bling. Even if you're staying somewhere else, do call in for a tour. This is very funny indeed. It feels exactly as though it's just come down the slipway at Clydebank in 1967. Very, very 60s, down to the lovely carpets. And the scale also feels just a little bit inadequate for these days of big cruises. Heading up on deck, I'm about to meet Peter Warrick, who first stepped on board the QE2 in 1987 as a passenger. From that moment, he vowed one day to work on board and eventually became the ship's entertainments director.
Indeed, I was.
And look at you now, you're a guide.
It's fantastic. I mean, to be back here 19 years later is extraordinary. I mean, really.
Why is this ship so special? Because frankly, a 50-year-old cruise ship, the best place for her would be the scrapyard, wouldn't it?
The absolute opposite. I mean, there's so much history connected with this ship.
And a fair number of celebrities too.
We've had David Bowie, I met Her Majesty the Queen on here, who incidentally shares my birthday.
Lucky Queen. And here's Peter's colleague, Katie King, who's agreed to show me a cabin.
we have about 13 different categories of cabins. So you can come in, you can have a really basic but really comfortable night's stay in one of our standard rooms. Then you can go a little bit more upmarket and stay in one of these, which is a superior room, has everything you need, porthole windows. Then you can go right up to the captain's cabin room with balconies. You've got the royal suites, the duplex suites, so you can have an experience that meets your budget and your lifestyle. A bit like the sailing days. So we're not a 4 or 5 star hotel. It's actually Dubai's only floating hotel. So you have all these different categories, just as you would have in a ship. You have your business class, your first class, your tourist class, and you have that nowadays. So, you know, variety. I think everybody likes choice, and you really have that on the QE2.
Now, I've previously spent a fortune in Dubai hotels, so how much is QE2 going to cost me?
Dubai is very seasonal, so if you came in the summer, obviously you can get your flights a bit cheaper, your hotel rooms a bit cheaper. You could pay £60 a night to stay in this room, which is very affordable. And then if you go to peak season, which is between November and March, you could pay upwards of £150, £200, it does vary really. But then obviously if you book a package, the price comes down, but yeah, it varies. It's very nice, affordable accommodation.
So you can sleep within an old world wonder close to the centre of Dubai.
She's here at Port Rashid. Is she going to be sailing anywhere else ever again?
Not to my knowledge, no. But we long wish she may live here and rule the waves in port. That's what I say.
And sailing 6 million nautical miles during the course of an illustrious career is quite enough for any queen. Next time you're in Dubai or LA, take a trip back into the history of the high seas.